Armies with nuclear weapons are growing. Rising conflict is a trend. Millions have been displaced. Due to the fact that criminal and terrorist networks profit from the conflict and violence, international law is routinely violated. The current state of affairs in the world is as follows. In this video we will talk about the top 10 ongoing wars. Number 10. Ethiopia. Prime Minister Abiy's Federal Army and Northern Tigray forces are fighting. Both sides commit crimes. They won't kill each other. Diplomats should push for a ceasefire to send humanitarian aid into Tigray and try to start peace talks. Number 9. Afghanistan. After the Taliban's takeover, Western governments shut off funding to Afghanistan, triggering a humanitarian crisis. More than half of the population, 23 million, will be hungry, warns the UN. International donors should release money designated for Afghanistan, lift sanctions, and allow regular economic activity. Disaster prevention may require Taliban ministries. Number 8. Yemen. In September 2014, the Houthi armed movement took control of Sana'a, Yemen's capital and seat of President Abdrabbu Mansour Hadi's administration. Both claim to be Yemen's government. Saudi Arabia led a coalition of Asian and African countries to back Hadi in 2015, with U.S. intelligence and logistical help. ACLED has documented almost 140,000 conflict deaths, including nearly 20,000 in 2021. Number 7. Iran-Israel war. The Iran-Israel proxy conflict is a proxy war between Iran and Israel. Iran's authorities threaten Israel and want to dissolve the Jewish state. Iran has provided funds, weapons, and training to Lebanese Hezbollah, Hamas, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, which have threatened and attacked Israel. Israel is concerned about Iran's nuclear weapons development and missile program because of Iran's antagonism to Israel. Israel also wants to downgrade Iran's supporters and proxies and prevent Iranian entrenchment in Syria, another sworn adversary of Israel. Number 6. Israel-Palestine. This year saw the most catastrophic Gaza-Israel war in a decade and clashes in Jerusalem, the West Bank, and Israeli cities. Escalation showed the current quo is unsustainable. Israel's new government represses Palestinians and annexes the West Bank. Hope for a two-state solution is fading fast. This year, the world's policy must catch up. Number 5. Haiti. Many Haitians feared 2021. Few anticipated a better 2022. Port-au-Prince is ruled by violent gangs. Although many Haitians object to the thought of a new UN peacekeeping operation, let alone American military participation, it is difficult to envisage Haiti surviving its current situation without some outside assistance. Donors funding a specialized joint Haitian-UN office charged with prosecuting high-ranking government representatives, law enforcement officers, and judges accused of severe crimes could aid in reducing violence and severing relationships between criminals and politicians. Haitian political groupings must agree on a new administration and transition strategy. Without them, Haitians' hopelessness will grow. More will leave for better lives. Number 4. Islamist militancy in Africa. Africa has the world's fiercest clashes between states and Islamist extremists. Western-backed military actions thwart jihadists. Yet they often alienate locals, and foreign efforts to establish indigenous troops have produced little. A rethink should involve negotiations with militant leaders. Number 3. The United States and China. After leaving Afghanistan, the US declared a new anti-China partnership with Australia and the UK. AUKUS helps Canberra buy nuclear-powered submarines. It showed Washington's desire to shift from fighting Islamist extremists to power politics and discouraging Beijing. In Washington, one of the few bipartisan opinions is that the US is at odds with China. US policymakers see decades of engagement with China as encouraging a rival that exploits international bodies and laws, represses opposition in Hong Kong, and bullies its Asian neighbors. US policy is driven by competition with China. Biden's China strategy involves keeping the US the dominant force in the Indo-Pacific, where Beijing's military capacity has grown. Biden seems to view Chinese regional hegemony as more costly than conflict. That means bolstering U.S. ties and partnerships in Asia and elevating Taiwan's security. Top officials endorse Southeast Asian claims in the South China Sea. Number 2. Myanmar. Generals miscalculated if they wanted to rebuild Myanmar's polity. Military commanders were angered by Aung San Suu Kyi's huge triumph in the 2020 elections and imprisoned civilian MPs. Their plans for future elections seemed to favor friendly candidates. Instead, cities were rocked by anti-military protests. A massacre sparked fiercer resistance. Deposed legislators formed their own national unity government and called for revolt in September. Resistance forces, many of which support the NUG but are not under its direct control, ambush military convoys, bomb regime-linked targets, and assassinate local officials, suspected informants, and other junta loyalists daily. Number 1. Russia-Ukraine conflict. On February 24, 2022, the Russian Federation began an invasion of Ukraine, which escalated a conflict that had been simmering since Russia occupied Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula in 2014. This conflict had been burning since Russia annexed Crimea in 2014. After formally recognizing the rebel territories of Donetsk and Luhansk in Ukraine on February 24, 2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin sent soldiers into Ukraine on a peacekeeping mission on February 21, 2022. On the following day, February 24, 2022, the peacekeeping mission turned into a large-scale invasion of Ukraine. The initial assaults consisted of missile barrages, which were rapidly followed by ground forces and armored formations. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.